911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey everybody, how are you? It's so good to see you all tonight. Welcome to Behind the Crime Door. I'm Kristen. Hey John. Hi Maria. Big hugs to you, my dear. Hi Deb. Hey David Gray. Yeah, David, just look for it in the chat. The moderators will be dropping my email tonight, so you just have to look at it. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Lisa Marie Kuhn, how are you? Oh, you're welcome, Lisa. I try. Hi, Sierra. Hey, Tech Death, how are you? Hey, Kimberly. Hi, Country Girl. Hi, Junior Johnson. How's everybody doing? Hey, Jennifer. Hugs, my dear. So good to see you. Hi, Michelle. I hope everything's okay for you down there. I've been praying for you guys. Hey, Joey. You know, it's funny, Joey, that you said that because I was watching some new channels that I'd never heard of this morning. But I think that they're bigger channels that cover many cases. And I was really surprised at how unknowledgeable they were about Delphi and the case. I was really, really surprised. They were giving out misinformation. Hey, Pigeon Mac, how are you? It's good to see you here. Aw, thank you. Hey, Northern Light, Salty Beach. Hey, Louisa. Always good to see you guys. Hey, Carol. I haven't seen you for a while. It's good to see you. My mods are hardworking. They do a great job. Hey, Digital, how are you? So good to have all of you guys here tonight. Hey, Junior Johnson, welcome to Behind the Crime Door. You will find that everyone is quite friendly here, and we try to make everyone feel at home. Yes, Joey, for sure. I totally agree with you. But I had a conversation with a really close friend this morning about that very thing. And he's not a YouTuber, but he has a YouTube channel, and he considers himself just a person who posts things every now and then, I guess. But we were talking about how people kind of jump on the wagon in cases like this because they're hopeful. Excuse me. The change in the weather is really affecting my asthma. So I apologize to you guys. Just had a couple of interesting days. I'm doing fine, but I just get this catch in my throat. Hey, Psych 101. But yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. Hey, Purdue RN, how are you? So good to have you here. Hey, Avondale Mama. Yeah, it's the time of year. I always have issues with it this time of year. Hey, Olivia too. How are you? So kind of sucks because I love the fall, and I love when it starts to get chilly at night because you can have a fire outside on the deck and sit by the fire and just kind of, enjoy it. But I can't with the with the all the issues with the leaves and stuff blowing around and all this stuff in the air. It's just How's everybody been? Did you guys have a good rest of your weekend? I certainly hope so. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Obviously today's election day. Hope everybody was able to get out and vote. Such an important civic responsibility that we have. The time change, I am so happy that our state has voted to end it. I'm so tired of the time change. It's terrible. It absolutely just throws my whole body into a crazy sleep cycle. I'm super tired in the morning. I'm wired at night. Like, it's crazy. I can't get myself to go to sleep. Then when I finally do go to sleep, I don't know. It's just really crazy. So oh, I do too, Northern Light. I definitely do as well, because I just think it's ridiculous. We don't need it anymore. There's no really true reason for it. And I just think it's ridiculous. So that's just my take on it. But Hey, Deb, thank you so much. So guys, I'm going to ask a question and I want you guys to answer in the chat with a 1. How many are subscribers to Adventure with Purpose? Or how many of you have heard of Adventures with Purpose? What a sad week for them. I don't know if you guys all have heard. I'm sure you did, because if you're on YouTube at all, you should have known. I subscribed to them 3 months ago and was a paying member. I actually got my whoops. I'm trying to get it off of here. I got my wristband from them. The Adventures with Purpose. I just thought they were doing great work. And I still do. I mean, I think they've done great work. You guys are not going to believe it. I've got a couple things to show you. We're going to listen to Doug Bishop, who's one of the divers. But the person who started Adventures with Purpose was indicted for rape. He was 17 years old or 18 years old when he did it. It was to a family member, and it was twice. He did it twice. And his name, if everybody isn't familiar, is Jared Lysick. And he is the owner and the person who started Adventures with Purpose. He's the founder. And he was charged last week with 2 counts of rape of a child. He's accused of abusing a female relative who was between the age of 9 and 10 years old, according to Utah court documents obtained by Law and Crime. The incidents allegedly occurred in 1992. Lysick was 7 years older than the victim at the time, authorities said. Just before November 1st, 1992, the victim lived in Ephraim, which is located in Sanpete County. And the deputy county attorney, Eric E. Butler, is the one who brought the charges. In one incident, Lysick allegedly raped the child in her bedroom. He abused her again when they were at their grandparents' home in the city of Manti, Utah, that same year. Jared Lysick has no attorney of record. Adventures with Purpose referred the Law and Crime Network Sidebar podcast to their legal team when asked about the allegations against him. They did not immediately respond to a Law and Crime follow-up request for comment on Tuesday. The Sanpete County Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to a Law and Crime request for more information. Adventures with Purpose is a volunteer dive team that works to help solve missing person cases. Deputies in Pope County, Arkansas, credited the group with finding Samantha Jean Hopper's blue Ford Tempo submerged in about 8 feet of water. The 20-year-old and her daughter, Courtney Holt, age 1, disappeared in 1998. They also found missing man James Jimmy Amabile, 38, who was submerged at a Pennsylvania marina in his SUV since 2003. More recently, the group discovered missing California teen Kylie Mae Rodney, 16, in her SUV under 14 feet of water in a reservoir. Investigators said that Rodney died in an accidental drowning after she attended a massive party at the Prosser Lake campground near Truckee, California. Lead diver Doug Bishop told Fox affiliates in May, in a May 9 profile, that Adventures with Purpose was an environmentalist group with Lysick working to clean up waterways. His efforts led to a vehicle being uncovered underwater here in the city of Portland, Oregon, and then he started focusing on just pulling vehicles out. Lysick and Doug Bishop, a towing company owner, teamed up together to take out vehicles to clean up the waterways, but one of the vehicles ended up containing human remains. From there, the men found their niche. Little did we know it, we were working in a gray area that's not really being done, Doug Bishop said. They did not plan on this. I guess there's something that's extra in the universe that has guided us together on this journey to help mend families. Bishop said, we're just good guys trying to do good in the world. Lysick's initial court appearance is set for November 30th. So completely threw me when I heard that. Absolutely threw me. I've watched a lot of their videos in the last 3 months. Hey, Steve, Mrs. Steve, hello. Thanks for joining, guys. Hey, Danger Dave. Hi, Paris. Miss Thang, how are you? Oh, I'm so glad to have you with me, Steve. So I thought one of the things that we would do real quick is listen to Doug Bishop, because he did release just yesterday a video on his YouTube channel in regards to these charges. So I thought that we would take a moment and listen to what he has to say about all of this. Just so you guys know, Adventures with Purpose have I believe it's 2.2 million subscribers.
Right now, I have become the voice of our purpose, what we have all come together to do. And now what has happened 30 years ago has come to light, and it's affecting everybody involved with this. There are contracts in place. There's legal ramifications. I mean, with me even speaking my opinion. But in this scenario, I got to keep it real to everybody who loved Adventures with Purpose, who loves Adventures with Purpose, who loves what we were able to accomplish in this world. We've proven that what we have done works, it's effective, it's a need for it. We tell people stories. We are the voice for the voiceless. When we are covering these people's stories and going into their homes and representing them and telling their story of their missing loved ones, that's what it is we do. Do nothing else, And I'm not just speaking for me, because I'm not the only one that's involved in this. There are other people's lives who are affected by this, and that's what this is about. And being real is all you can be. That's all you got in this world is what you stand for and how you come up. Yeah, done a lot of good in this world, and everybody's got a story to tell. Everyone, absolutely everybody has a story to tell. Where I come from, though, there's codes. Where I go from here, I have a lot of support, and I love everybody who's reaching out and just telling me and letting me know that I have your support, and that you stand with me. And my future is just going to go being real. I'll continue to follow the passion that I've developed with helping people, with, telling somebody's story. I come from the towing industry, and now I pull cars out underwater, helping families get answers. I've developed that passion. It's unfortunate that I've developed that passion, and this has happened. It doesn't align with what I believe in. I have daughters. I'm a father, and I come from a real rough background, and I've changed my life. I've become a really good man, and I've always followed the code. And that code has been violated. With that being said, you know, there's a lot of legal things that have to play out, and they got to play out, you know. But it doesn't involve me. It doesn't involve my name. It doesn't involve anybody else's name that's been associated with it, you know, because we've worked with a lot of people intimately, and there's a lot of people that are hurting right now. I'm just as heartbroken. I care a lot about what it is that I've been able to do. And where this goes, I don't know. I don't know where this goes. My future's bright. I'll always be okay. My family's gonna be okay. And I kept it real, you know? I can't wait for lawyers to make decisions. I have to defend my family. I have to defend myself. And unfortunately, you know, that doesn't align with my future. It doesn't align with me at all. None of us, you know what I mean? None of us knew any of this. And I am just as shocked as everybody else. It's really unfortunate and heartbreaking. Yeah, man, people that know me, you guys know I'm a survivor. And, you know, I got nothing to hide. I'm not going to hide nothing. It's what it is. Be positive, you know, moving forward. You know, there's people out there that have a story to tell. There's victims out there that have a story to tell. And I have been a voice for those victims. I'm going to continue to follow that passion. And I know I'll have the support to do so. I'm respected in a lot of circles with agencies. And those who know me, and those of you who don't know me, get to know me. The future's going to be great, but it won't be what it used to be. You know, we all got to move forward, whatever that means. I don't know. Appreciate each and every one of you.
Wow.
8 at 5 starts now.
We begin at 5 o'clock with stunning new revelations in the Delphi murders. It's a story we first broke for you on TV and online this morning.
Sorry, guys. Hey, GonZo. How are you, hun? So good to see you. Much love to you. Big hugs. You hang in there. I'm here for you. Always. I was absolutely floored by this whole story, you guys. I wanted to bring it because I think that Doug is a really good person. Like I said, I've only been following them and watching them for 3 months, but I was a paid member of the channel. I have canceled my membership. I don't feel that I can support Jared, and from everything I've known, all of it goes to him. It sounds like they've set up some sort of a trust with the company quickly or something. I'm not sure. But I'm not here to throw people under the bus or say, you know, be high and mighty. But when somebody is charged with this 30 years later, it's serious. And I wish nothing but Doug Bishop the best. I think he'll do fine. He is very personable. When he goes out with these families and sits and talks to these families of the missing that he's looking for in these waterways, you can just see how much he truly cares. Actually, Jared had stepped back and was not even really in the filming much anymore. They had created these 2 dive teams, and Jared really wasn't doing a whole lot. But I just can't imagine, you know, like he said, this whole company, and there's a lot of them, basically just had the rug ripped out from underneath of them because this was their livelihood. This is how they supported their families. And it was all through donations that came in from the supporters on the YouTube channel. Like I said, 2.2 million subscribers. That's a lot. And I have no idea how many of those were paid memberships, but they were getting the money to do what they do because it's equipment and specialized equipment. Plus they have to travel all around the country. And, you know, they had never looked for a missing person that just had gone missing before. These were all cold cases, years and years old usually, and they didn't start doing that. So anyway, they took a lot of flack over Kylie Rodney and how they handled that after her recovery as well. But I thought it was amazing how they went there when they were asked. Their community asked them to go and help, and they did. And so I just wish the guys that are all out of work or, you know, that are not going to continue to work for Jared. I understand that. I can totally get it. I think it's exactly how any of us probably would feel when you find out that your boss is a child rapist. And I don't care what Jared's come out and said as far as that I think he's gotten help or something, and he wanted to keep this all in the past. That may be well and good for him, but not for his victim. And, you know, what a brave person to be able to finally come forward and talk about it and bring the charges against him. So that's kind of how I felt. And I just wanted, like I said, I just wanted to get that out there so that people knew what was going on. It's just devastating because there are so many children in this world that this happens to, and it just never gets found out. Never. And you're right, Northern Light, it is allegedly. But they must have something very compelling if they were able to charge him 30 years later. So I think they have more than one witness, from what I understand. This was within a family, and I think they knew. So anyway, I just wanted you guys to know about it. I didn't know how many of my followers were followers with Adventure, but I was very disturbed by it, by the story. And I felt that it was something that I should talk about. So did that. I also want to give a shout out to R&M YouTube channel because it seems that I created some flack by my thumbnail that I created today when I used Monster on the Monon. Seems that they have that as a thumbnail that they used 2 months ago. I didn't know that. Not subscribed to the channel, don't watch the channel. And so I'm sorry, I guess. I don't know. I was called out for it on Reddit, and I said, you know, it's just something that came to my mind when I was thinking about Bridge Guy. And thanks, Tech Death. I know, but I did want to give a shout out so that they know that I didn't go steal the name of their live or their video or whatever it was that they did. But yeah, I just wanted to do, I just wanted to say that because you guys know me. I'm not that kind of person. And I'm not going to go around looking at people's thumbnails and stealing titles from them. So anyway, hey, Molly, you must have just slipped in here and coming over from Steve, I am assuming. Thank you, Lipsha. I get that it's not. I just didn't want them to think that I was doing this. I think they even left a comment. Somebody said on my thumbnail, something like or something. I don't know. But so thank you, you guys. Love you so much for sticking with me on that one. Dave, did I see that you're not feeling well? I heard somebody say they hoped you felt better. Are you feeling poorly? I hope not. I hope you feel better if you are, especially if you have to go driving. I hope you feel better. So, I did take a look. I mean, I've been looking every single day. I'm going to share my screen again, guys. To my case on Richard Allen. And I went in there today and I looked, and as you can see, under parties to the case, it's still only showing Nick McClelland as the prosecutor. There is still no defense attorney listed. I think he has until the 13th or 17th, and I cannot remember for sure. If somebody in the chat knows, please drop it in the chat. But I think it's either the 13th or the 17th that he has to have a hired attorney. And if he doesn't, then they will appoint one for him. They will do a court-appointed attorney. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Obviously, it's difficult when you're in jail to reach out to get an attorney hired. Usually your family helps with that, I think. So I don't know if that's going on for him or not, but just keeping a close eye on things here and making sure that nothing has changed or that nothing has been added. Everything else seems to be the same. Also, I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. The reason this trial date was set, because that is the time frame for his speedy trial. If he requests a speedy trial, which he's entitled to under the Constitution, that's when it would have to occur. So that's why that date was chosen and why those dates were in there. I do not look for those dates to stick. I do not look for this case to go to trial then, simply because it's a 6-year-old case, nearly, and there's a lot of discovery. There'll be a lot of discovery in the case. Oh, bronchitis is nasty, Dave. Ugh. It is so nasty. I do hope you feel better. Try some honey with lemon in your tea, or even in your coffee if you drink coffee. Put some honey and some lemon in it, and it will help your throat. It's really good for it. I would drink it with tea because I'm not a coffee drinker, but I hope you feel better. You're here for all my lives, and I just appreciate you so much. Thanks, Psych 101. It's the 13th. I was thinking it was, but I was like, for some reason, once I said it, the 17th jumped into my head as well. So I was like, Jennifer, it's good to know that you were out and about with your kids at a soccer game. I'm glad that you're hopefully feeling better. I think that's normal, Lisa. Suicide watch for this type of individual crime, they're going to have them on that type of watch. I think he has to be checked on every 15 minutes. Let's hope they do a better job with him than they did with what's his name? I always forget his name. Let's see. I saw that, Lisa, on Reddit, but somebody said that that person that claimed to be there or be in the same holding or the same prison that he's in, it's not true. So I don't know. I don't think that they're going to let him be in population right now. They're going to keep him separate. So I would expect him to be in some sort of isolation, completely away from everyone, to keep him safe. I have also True Crime Web, Steve. Single malt goes really well on a sore throat, works really well on a sore throat. just a tiny little bit. You don't want it to interfere with your medication that you're on. Thank you, Wanda Epstein. Always, for whatever reason, his name just flies out of my head. Just Maxwell, his girlfriend, I always think of her. But for him, I just, yeah. Oh, hockey practice. Sorry. Jennifer, I remember those days well. Trust me, grandmothers don't either. I shuffled the boys around a lot. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. Let's hope they keep this guy safer than they did him. Hey, Heaven 57, good to see you. Yeah, Molly, I agree. He's not in general pop. He is not in some middle cell in between people. He is in isolation. They are keeping him away from anyone that could do him damage right now. I do believe that they've moved him. And I would not, well, I mean, we know they moved him. He was originally arrested and taken to Carroll County, where they moved him from Carroll County to White County, and which is Monticello, I believe. They took him from there and moved him to a state prison because the county didn't have enough staff to watch him individually. So I was thinking I would not at all be surprised if he's actually at Grissom and being held there and watched there. Because we know the state has they have facilities there. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yes, that's right. Gargling with warm salt water was one of my mother's go-tos for us kids. Oh, I'm fine, Pigeon. Really, truly, I am. It's just this, I keep getting this like stuff in the back of my throat. And I think it's just the drainage coming from my allergies from all the stuff in the air. They just finished up combining all the soybeans and the corn around us, so there's all this dust in the air. And we've got all the leaves down and the leaves are blowing. We just had a huge bunch of wind over about 3 to 4 day period because it brought in warm weather. We went back up into the 70s. And now today it was 70. I think tomorrow it's supposed to be 75. And on Saturday, it's supposed to be a high of 37. So we're going to drop like 50 degrees by the weekend. But, so yeah. Yes, Joe, I am. Hey, I didn't see you come in here. How are you? Yes, Joe, I do plan on going. I most certainly do. Mine's worse at night as well. I don't know why, but yeah. So yeah, it's oh good. I'm glad you're good. That's good to hear. It's always good to see you when you're here. So I thought tonight we would talk about Richard, Ricky, Matthew, Allen and see what we can come up with as far as what do we already know about him. Louisa, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm worried about that. You know, another hurricane hitting Florida and the East Coast, Georgia and North Carolina. That's bothersome to, you know. They don't need that. They just don't need that. So I've been kind of worried about them. So anyway, guys, I checked this. Like I said, this is the public court system in Indiana. Anybody can go there. mycase.in.gov. You just put in his name and search, and it'll bring up his case. And so that's the one reason that Jamie, that is the one reason that I do not like Florida, and can only handle a short bit of Florida. I would never want to live there because of how humid it is. That's no fun for me. I'd have to live in the water all the time, and that's not possible. So yeah, I would not be happy. Hilarious tech death. Nicole is my daughter's name, although her name is spelled with an H. Hi, Crime Time Wine Time. Welcome to Behind the Crime Door. So glad to see everyone. So what do we know about Richard Allen? Well, we know that he's 50 years old and that he would have been around 43 to 44 years old in 2017 when Abby and Libby were murdered. We know that he is about 5'3" to 5'4" based on his booking photo that has him standing at the height range. And we know that he worked for CVS in some sort of a supervisory capacity, and that he is married for 30 years. He has 2 daughters. I'm not sure if one is a stepdaughter. I'm not sure how that plays out or how that works. But I've seen 1 daughter, and then I've seen them talk about 2 daughters. So I've seen that in print, and we may have to wait to find that out. It has been amended. I've not seen that. I have not seen that, Joe. I saw a picture of him, and he does not look 5'7" to 5'8". He looks about 5'3" to 5'4" in the picture with him standing at the height range. What else was I going to say? To look at him, he looks like he's a short guy. What was I going to say? We know that at one point he worked at Walmart. He worked at Walmart in Illinois and Indiana both. Let's see. His wife is either a veterinarian or I've seen both. I've seen that she was a veterinarian and she was also a vet tech. But I think veterinarian is probably more along the line. They loved cats. They had, I think at one time, maybe 4 or 5 different cats, it looks like. Not sure about dogs. I think so, but I'm not positive on that. Let's see. What else was I going to say? Or something else I wanted to say. Oh, he seems to like to go hiking on trails. And there is photos and video of him in Gatlinburg, Tennessee in 2020 or 2021. I think it was 2020. He went for his anniversary. They went there for their anniversary, and looks like they had there's video of him talking while he's on a gondola. There is also video of him riding horses and lots of pictures of him. Hey, Grizz, how are you, my dear? So good to see you. Hey, C. Savek, how are you? Hey, Bridget, how are you? It's good to see you. Yes, Michelle, they have. They also, what I think is interesting is how I've watched so many interviews, different interviews with Doug Carter since the press conference on my birthday on Halloween. And in every press conference, when he's asked, are you certain that this is Bridge Guy? And he said, well, we have probable cause. And the probable cause affidavit was signed off on by a judge for 2 counts of murder. So I think they're pretty confident that they have him. I do believe that if you can go by some of the social media, one of the things that I found interesting is he didn't smile a lot in his photographs or his pictures. He just seemed sort of blank. Like he was in the pictures, but he didn't show a lot of emotion one way or another. And there's a picture of him out there where he is standing in khaki pants and he's got on a blue CVS jacket. And man, the way the pants fit him and the way they slouch on his legs because he's short, it really reminds me of the guy on the bridge. Yeah, little daisies, that picture of him in the Walmart where he's laying sideways on that bottom shelf, he does have that. And when he's in the video where he's karaokeing in JC's bar and dancing around the pool table, he probably was smiling there, although you couldn't see it very well. Hey, Amy J., how are you? So good to have you with us. I just, like I said, I've been watching a lot of stuff. And one of the things that struck me is that everybody is asking the same question. How did this guy fly under the radar for nearly 6 years? Did he fly under the radar for 6 years? We don't know the answer to that, truly. We don't know when law enforcement got wind of this guy or when law enforcement found out about him. I do believe that something happened on October 13th when they went to his house with a search warrant and ended up getting not only the search warrant for the house, but also to confiscate his vehicle, so that it could be searched by the crime scene techs, because they're going to go over that vehicle with a fine-tooth comb, especially if it's the same vehicle he had back in 2017. I think something came of that. It just makes sense when you're thinking about it that something came of that 12 hours that they spent in his house. I think somebody said it's a 3-bedroom house with all one level, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it isn't all one level. Maybe it's got a basement, but I thought it had all one level. I don't know for sure. But to spend 12 hours in that house, because that house is not that big, that's a long time to spend there. They looked outside. They dug in right next to his shed along a fence, which was where his burn pit was. And we've all heard about burn pits. People in the Midwest and that live out in the country especially, and some of these smaller towns, they burn their trash. They burn their garbage. They will burn leaves. They just have burn pits that they use to burn stuff. It's just what they do. So what were they looking for? What were they thinking to find in a burn pit? They searched his property on October the 13th is when they went to his home to search it. And that was a Thursday. And they showed up at that search at noon, from everything that we've been told. HON was pretty thorough on their video. I posted that on my community page if you guys care to check it out. I also posted it in my Discord for all of my members. And I don't believe anybody gets reward money until there is a conviction. But hello, R&M, welcome. So I do believe that no, it was in October. October the 13th is when they went to his home to search his home and the outbuilding, his shed, and also dig up around the yard. Yes, Polygraph. The Discord is one of the perks for being a member of my channel. The private Discord I have, as well as my private Facebook. So we know they did that, and we know that once they did the search, whatever they found, they wouldn't have known, I don't think, right away, because whatever they found, it wasn't enough that was so compelling that they arrested him on the spot, right? They waited. And it looks like whatever they found had to be forensically tested, is what I'm assuming. And John, I am so sorry you still can't get in there. You were in there at one time. You were. I saw you. So they took away the car. They carried out stacks of cloth. Nobody knows if it was clothing or if it was a jacket or, what it was exactly. They just saw the neighbor was watching all of this through binoculars, is what they told HLN. And so they were able to see some of it. They carried out a shoebox, a Macy's bag, shopping bag, and some books, a stack of books, which is interesting. Kind of wonder what those are. And let's see. I'm trying to think of what else happened. They made him stay out of the house the entire time. They didn't let them go back into the house until around 11 p.m. And once they were allowed back in, I have no idea what happened. But I was wondering to myself, can you imagine the conversation that must have been going on between him and his wife when they showed up and let them know why they were searching? I wonder if they told him what the search was in regards to. And was the search in regards to supposedly him stealing something from a neighbor? Because we've heard that as well. And I don't know if this is true. This is all hearsay, that he was supposedly turned in by a neighbor for trying to steal something out of their garage. But he stood outside a long time next to her car before he got into the car with her and then sat for even longer. And I agree, Deb. I was wondering what that conversation must have been about and what was going on. I did go and look at her social media just to see what kind of things were still there. I looked at it before some things were taken down because she took a lot of stuff down. But I also looked at some of the comments, and everything points to a happily married couple. There wasn't anything on social media that would make you think anything different. So it's interesting to me that they do a search on the 13th of his house, and then they arrest him on 13 days later. Well, they take him. I'm sorry, I apologize. They bring him in for questioning 13 days later on the 26th of October. And hold on one second. And they bring him in for questioning. I'm assuming they're bringing him in for questioning about Delphi and not about something he stole out of somebody's garage. And they start interrogating him and questioning him. And it sounds like they did this over 2 days. They did it on Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Friday, they charged him. And he went to court. He had his first court appearance. So they may have told him, I'm not sure when they told him he was being arrested and what he was being charged with. We just know that he had his first court date on the 28th of October, and that's where the charges were told in front of court, and he pled not guilty. We do not, Jennifer. When I talked about it, I said it's hearsay. We do not know because law enforcement hasn't told us any of that. It was in the newspaper. I think, and I think Fox 59 talked about it as well. I just think it sounds really weird why that would be the reason, because he doesn't have any history of burglary, or he doesn't have any history of stealing. So that's kind of bizarre to me. One of the things that I do think that stands out. Hi, Chris. How are you? In this country, law enforcement can hold you for 72 hours. They can detain you for 72 hours. And then they have to charge you or let you go. That's how they do it. Let's see. What was the other thing? Oh, the other thing that I was going to talk to you guys about that I thought was interesting was in 2015, there was a domestic call made to the home, same house, so to him and his wife, and Tobe Lesenby was involved in that call, supposedly, they're saying, and that he was, there wasn't anything happening. It was the fact that he was drunk, highly under the influence, and don't know how he gets when he's like that, but maybe he was being combative or whatever. And he ended up going to rehab, checking himself into a facility at that point in time in 2015. No charges were brought. I just think that they showed the domestic. There wasn't any kind of charge. I don't believe there was. It just shows that it was an open and shut case, I guess. which I thought was weird. So, oh, and by the way, you guys, if you guys ask questions of me, I'm just going to make note of it, and I'll answer them at the end, so we don't have the interruption. But I will answer all the questions at the end, I promise. So that happened in 2015. Now in 2017, we hear another rumor that's out there that he also went back to rehab of some kind, mental facility, whatever, after the girls were murdered. And one of the things that I find interesting about that, you guys, what a great way for a psychopath to hide. Check yourself into a facility and you're completely under the radar. You're completely out of touch, you know, especially if your picture on the bridge is flying around and, you know, you want to really kind of get out from underneath. You know, I'm just saying. Purdue, thank you so much. You are so kind. Thank you. Thank you. So, it was just something that I thought about. If it's true, it seems awfully weird. We know he has a drinking problem. We know that alcohol is a problem for him, and by what we've heard. And I think it's interesting that they belong to a pool league at JC's bar in Delphi. The owner talked about them coming there 3 to 4 nights a week, and they played in a pool league and drank. When they went to Gatlinburg, they were drinking shots. So, I mean, I get it when people have alcohol problems or are alcoholics or whatever, they can have family members that just basically don't try to help that and maybe even are codependent, because she was drinking and he was drinking right along with her. So yeah, I thought that was pretty telling, interesting. So those are some of the things that we know about him. We also know that everyone that has talked about him publicly has said that he was a nice guy. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this on the radar. His neighbors talked about them being a very quiet, no loud parties, not a lot of people at their house, just kind of, you know, your average neighbors, basically. And that they would not have ever suspected that this guy was living this close to them. Everyone who interacted with him at work, at CVS, all the people that they've talked to have said he was helpful. Tobe Lesenby said he was an exemplary employee when it came to customer service. He helped people. He was always willing to kind of go the extra. There was a guy on Reddit. Now, again, we don't know if this is true, but there was a guy on Reddit who claimed to have worked with him at CVS, and they unloaded the morning trucks together. And he said that he was just always kind and helpful. And So yeah, I don't know. Sorry guys, sometimes StreamYard lags. I do apologize. My everything I'm seeing isn't lagging at all, but when we use StreamYard and we stream to YouTube, there is a delay and sometimes it lags. They did not let us know, the Rockaways, about the court appearance. They did not, when they took him into custody on the 26th of October, it was very, very hush hush. You got to remember, you guys, Delphi is less than 3,000 people, like 2,900. Carroll County's 20,000. This is not a big community. This is not a large place. And word spreads. So I think they have done or did an amazing job of keeping everything hush hush. And I agree, Dave. I think that that is exactly why everything is sealed. Which brings me to another point. I've got something for us to watch. I'm going to share my screen with you. So Carrie Timmons, sorry, Libby's mom spoke out to Inside Edition, and we're going to watch it.
Other news today, authorities in Delphi, Indiana say the suspect in the murder of 2 young teens has been moved to a state prison for his own protection due to threats. It's been almost 6 years since the killings, and now the mother of Libby German is finally speaking in this exclusive interview with Amber Cagliano, and she says she is still shocked by the arrest. The mother of a teen who was slain in the Down the Hill murder case is speaking out about the surprise arrest in the killings.
I was in shock. I think I'm still in shock, really. It came out of nowhere.
Carrie Timmons is speaking exclusively to Inside Edition after a CVS worker was charged with murdering her daughter, Libby German, and Libby's best friend, Abby Williams. Carrie voiced the question on the minds of many in the small town of Delphi, Indiana, and beyond.
If this turns out that he is the killer, how did he manage to go unnoticed for almost 6 years? There's a lot of questions still left unanswered, more questions now than there were before.
Carrie said she always suspected the killer had links to Delphi.
You had to know the area to have gotten in and out. It just seems logical that they had some kind of local ties, at the very least. So I didn't expect him to literally be living right under everyone's noses.
I asked her about the photo of the accused killer, Richard Allen, taken in a Delphi bar with a police sketch of the wanted man right behind him. Kind of callous, maybe?
Yeah. Pretty brave. Bold. Like, it didn't matter. It just seems crazy that he was right there, living life every day.
Richard Allen has been transferred out of the county jail to a state prison for his own safety. Are you hopeful that this time they have the killer?
Absolutely hopeful. I've always said the girls deserve justice, and I hope that's where we're headed. The justice is coming.
Libby was 14 when she was slain. She would now be about to turn 20.
Regardless of the arrest, it doesn't bring her back. I'm still going to be living life wondering what she would be doing at this point or that point.
Richard Allen has pled not guilty. He's due in court for a pretrial hearing January 13th.
You know, it was bittersweet to see Carrie and see her talking about Libby and all of this, because she's never talked about, and nobody talks about her. And it just breaks me. It breaks me every time I see her, because that pain that she's feeling is real. And those emotions that she has are valid. This is her baby. And she loved her. And it's so unfair. So unfair. But with all of that being said, I thought it was good to hear what she did have to say about him. And, if he does turn out to be the guy, because he is innocent until proven guilty, I'm sure that the family will have much more to say to us. Oh, yeah, Deb, she did. Libby looks just like Carrie. Absolutely. I think she has been through the ringer. You cannot imagine the hell of burying your child and trying to go on with your life. Even when you have other children to raise, you can't replace a child with another. So there's a hole, and it is unimaginable pain. But I really wonder in my heart what the people in that town, in that community, are thinking about this man who waited on them in that store for 5.5 years, who gave them prescriptions, who took in their photos to be processed, rang up their milk and bread and whatever else that they were acquiring at the store, and the conversations that they would have. I saw a man who was interviewed that said he saw Ricky quite often because he was constantly getting prescriptions for his mother. And Ricky was always at the drive-thru helping people. So it's just interesting to me. What would be your thoughts of that? And how would you feel about it? It is so easy to be judgmental and to stand there and say, well, there is no way that people didn't know it was him, and, and all of this. And people don't have a clue as to how psychopaths can live among us and blend right in, and you would never know. He flew under the radar because he was a nice guy. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't. He didn't behave like a monster. Yeah, John, I said it the other night. Tobe interacted with him on a regular basis. And I think Tobe is probably sitting there going, what the heck? What the heck? And what if he was a witness early on? What if he came forward as a witness and said, hey, I was there that day, and this is what I saw? I was going back through my Delphi notebooks today, guys. I pulled out one of them. This is one of them, so that you guys can see that I'm telling you the truth when I talk about all of them. I counted them. I have 17 of them. I started my new one, my 18th notebook at the end of September. But I was going back through this. And there is just so much information, so many different things that we talked about over all these years of this case in one way or another. And I just think it's odd I haven't yet. I haven't looked up my search list. I do have it, and I do plan on doing that. From what I have been understood from True Crime Garage, I think they have it. There's a couple other people I know that have it. I mean, it's out there. But I haven't looked at it to verify it for sure, and I want to see it myself. Abby and Libby's case has haunted me for 5.5 years. It's depressing. The story of these two beautiful girls, best friends who always spent time together. Once they became friends, they played the same instrument in the band. They played sports together. Libby had just convinced Abby to go out for softball with her. Abby was excited about it. Her grandfather had just come down that very weekend before and took her to the sporting goods store to get her glove and all of the equipment that she needed. And oh, I saw that. I was gonna be sorry, I'm still trying to talk and look at the chat because I don't want to miss any questions, you guys. Hey, Unsolved, I miss you, Allie. Much love, my dear. It's good to see you. I hope Lily's doing well. So anyway, Abby's grandfather came down to take her shopping and get her all the things that she needed. And the girls were looking forward to this. They were looking forward to how life was just about to change for them. And they were getting anxious and excited about high school. They both wanted to go into forensics or law enforcement in some way. Libby was fascinated with science. She was taking classes on the weekend at Purdue. She was extremely smart. And as Mike told us, well, Mike and Becky both, that she was constantly in some sport. There was only a couple of weeks out of the year where she was not in some activity and sport. They went to Riley Park on Sunday and Saturday or Sunday, and threw the ball and played catch together. These girls were close. They loved one another. And so it's like, wow, 9:27 already. I think about them and I think about their case, and all I can tell you is it's so disturbing. And to be where we are right now, this case has been so different for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons. Everybody, it seems, needs to talk about this case. For 5.5 years, it has been forefront in the news, both locally, regionally, nationally, and even internationally. The case itself has touched people for all different reasons. For me, it touched me because that could have been me and my best friend. Because when we were Abby and Libby's age, we were close as close can be. We still are 53 years later. Because that's how long she and I have been best friends. And it could have very easily been us. So we were, you know, those are some of the reasons that it touched me. I think the case touched many people because they saw Libby as a hero because of the video and the audio that she was able to capture of Bridge Guy. It's unheard of for a murder victim to be able to do that. And then for the murder victim to be a child. It's just incredible. I think it's because people have kept up with this case because we all knew, just like Doug Carter, that somebody knew. Somebody out there knew something and wasn't talking. And it was important for us to keep talking about the case and to keep talking about Abby and Libby and making the case more about them than about him. I have always been a person who absolutely hates that we always remember the perpetrator and we never remember the victims. You don't remember the victims. You don't remember their names. You always remember who did it. I mean, who in my chat right now can tell me a victim's name of Ted Bundy? Who can tell me a victim's name of the Golden State Killer or the Green River Killer or BTK, Jeffrey Dahmer? We don't remember the victims' names. We remember the perpetrator. And it's always bothered me in true crime because thank you, the Rockaways. Marine Hedge from Killed by BTK. Thank you. And so I made it a point when I started Delphi's Daughters on Reddit that I would, and I did for months, every day I did a Today is the Day post showing pictures of them, memes, sayings, quotes, all kinds of things to keep them in our hearts so that we would remember that they were real girls with hopes and dreams and lives and loves. I don't know, you know, I think about February 13th now, and I look at it differently now that we have a suspect with a face. And I imagine what that day must have been like for him. You know, did he go to work that day? Did he get up that morning and get dressed and go to work and get off work and go to the bridge? Or was he off work that day? It will be interesting to find out what his mindset was that day. And if he just, you know, do we just continue to wonder what this guy, you know, this nice guy who was, by every account we've heard, just a normal everyday guy who went to work, didn't cause trouble, you know, drank beers and sat in his driveway after work, smoked cigarettes, and just kind of hung out with his wife and his cats. And it goes back to, if you guys remember, and I wrote extensively about this on Delphi's Daughters in the very beginning of my subreddit when I started going back to the beginning of the case. It bothered me terribly when they had that very first press conference where Steve Mullins, the Delphi police chief, was sitting there talking about there was no need for fear in the community because his constituents, the people of Delphi, they knew what to make of this and how to act. And I'm like, you're not telling people they're in danger when you have a double murderer running amok in your community, and you have come out and said, you know, you don't know anything yet about this person or whatever, and you're telling them you don't need to be frightened, you don't need to be afraid. You know, I think Kim Riley wanted to tell us so much back then about that, because he said, you know, watch your kids, pay attention to what they are doing online. That was one of the things that Kim Riley said right after that press conference where they talked about that and said, no, there's no reason for anybody to be fearful. This is just a one-time shot. That was the other thing that I thought was interesting, is that law enforcement said at that press conference, which was Tobe Lesenby, and it said that they thought that this was just a one-time thing. And so I go back to that and I'm like, now it's always easy to look at things from hindsight and look back and see some of the things that were said, and you can see errors that were made possibly by some of their thought processes, because now that we know how close the suspect lived to the bridge, you know, he lived so close that if Tobe had not called off the dogs on the night of the 13th, those dogs may very well have led straight to his house. Straight to his house. So I'm sure that he has had some sleepless nights since this guy has been arrested. I thought his comments at the presser was kind of over the top a little bit. But it sounded to me like he felt like they got hit. I think he feels, based on what he said at the press conference, Tobe anyway, they got their guy. I mean, it just basically, there's no doubt in his mind. And he feels that God brought the justice to the girls. So he'll kick himself probably for that for a long, long time. But like I said, it's so easy for us to play armchair quarterback and call them out after the facts. We don't know what they knew back then. And when it all comes out, you know, Doug Carter has told us he cannot wait to tell us the story, the whole story of why things have happened the way they did. And I can't wait to hear it from him. And I'm not the only one. I think we all do. It will be an interesting time to think about and to talk about. But, you know, the girls were just out having a good time. And this person, for whatever reason, for whatever the motive was, or for whatever the mindset was, chose to end their lives. Chose to take their lives away from them. And that is what makes him a monster. In my eyes. But I will tell you that there are all kinds of faces of monsters. And when you look at Richard Allen, he doesn't look like a monster. When you see him in Gatlinburg with his wife up in the hills, on the trails, that man doesn't look like a monster. He looks like a father and a husband out having a good time. And that's what frightens everyone. That's where the scary comes in, because we as society cannot wrap our heads around how people can murder anyway, let alone children, and how they can just do that, go home, shower, sit down, smoke a cigarette, drink a beer, and flip on the TV and watch a game or whatever. You know, it is mind-boggling. And I understand why everyone has a lot of doubt, and why people think other people are involved, and why people think that, you know, how could this have happened? How could he have been living this way? But I talked about it for a long time. I firmly believed in my mind that this man was living among them. Doug Carter said he was. He was hiding in plain sight. And I talked about it. And I've talked about it almost every single live stream since he's been arrested. This is the guy who went to church and sat in the pew next to you. I don't know if he went to church or not, but this is what I'm, you know, how I'm explaining it. He's the guy who you saw at the gas station and maybe said hello to, or you saw him every week at the bar and played in a pool league with him. You joked around, you liked music. Maybe you came over to his house on the 4th of July and watched him set off the fireworks, because there's definitely videos of him doing that. Looks like with family and friends. You know, he's the guy that, you know, mowed his lawn and waved to you across the fence. Looks like there's a family that lives directly behind them that has a huge pool. Possibly the kids threw their balls over into his yard, and he's the guy that picked up the ball and threw it back to the kids, and, you know, was just a super nice guy. Be safe, Dave, and I hope you feel better. The guy from the bar, JC's bar, he talked about how Richard Allen came in 3 to 4 times a week, and they always talked about the girls. And Richard Allen would say how tragic it was. That is a psychopath, you guys, that can do that. So yeah, I mean, that's somebody who can really blend in. I mean, Ted Bundy was answering suicide hotline calls. What, John? What am I kidding you about? Or Joe, what am I kidding you about? The information about him going into the bar and talking about the girls, That's an interview with the owner of JC's Bar. That was on one of the local television stations right after he was arrested. So just knowing the fact that he was talking about the girls on a regular basis with patrons at the bar while he's playing pool, tells you a lot about who this man is. And Maria is right. Ted Bundy attended law school. He volunteered for the suicide hotline. He had a long-term girlfriend. He had a child. These monsters are very good at fooling the people around them. They are. And people need to go easy on his wife and his family until we know more facts. There is no way that anyone should be disparaging them because they are his victims as well. I can't even imagine what that poor woman must be feeling after seeing her videos and the love she had for him and the fact that she was with him for 30 years. That's a long time, you guys. A long time. To be married to someone and sleeping in the same bed with them every single night, and then to find out something like this. You have no idea how mentally and emotionally that would crush you. And you know, Molly, I'm sure. I mean, I've thought about that. Him walking back to the, over the 5.5 years, we've all talked about it. Did Bridge Guy go back to the scene of the crime? Did Bridge Guy ever go back there? I'm sure he was there all the time, walking, taking his walks, and going out there and reliving everything. So we're going to learn more about him as time goes on. They will have him evaluated by psychiatrists. They're going to talk a lot about his drinking, triggers. What, was this something did something happen in his life that triggered this? Because a lot of times in these types of killings, if it's not a pedophile type person, then it could be something that triggered him. And I always said something about the fact that it was Valentine's Day. Was that just a coincidence because the girls were out of school for a snow day? We don't know any of this yet. So yeah, Colleen Novak, I'm interested to know, where did you hear that? I've not seen that anywhere, that he was a mean drunk. I know that a lot of men who drink can be very violent and very mean. And they can also be very passive. It just depends on the person. What are you talking about? In 2015, she called the police on him once. That doesn't mean that he's mean. Means maybe they got into a fight and he had been drinking. Yeah, there were not any trail cams out there working at the time of the murders that we are aware of. Now, if there were, that's all going to come out as well. But if you remember, we've been told this whole time that nobody saw Bridge Guy. So if they don't have him on a camera, I mean, I would think if they had him on camera, they would have released that information. Because the snow days are talked about on the local news, and he would have known about it simply because of where he worked. People would be talking about the fact that their kids had no school or that they weren't going to be having school. Here in the Midwest, when we have snow days built into our calendars, if they're not used, the kids get days off, and that's how it works. So that's how they would have known. That is not uncommon at all. And not to mention the fact that he lived next door to the school. He lived right around the corner from the school. But yeah, it would have been all over the TV news. So I know we're all fascinated by what's happening. We're all happy and thrilled that we have a face and a suspect. But I want to remind everyone, we have to wait the process out. There is something else that I wanted to show you. Hold on one second. Oh, that's not it. I think I posted it on my community page and maybe not. Let me see. I just got to look up the document, guys. Hold on a minute, okay? Just give me a second to find it. Because this is something I wanted to share with you guys. Where is it? Mm-hmm. Well, still looking for it, guys. Sorry. I really wanted to go over it with you. Oh, I know where I can find it. Give me a minute. Because it's posted there. Let's see. Let's see. It's here. that was one of the other things that I thought about Richard Allen, is how much he changes in almost every single picture you see of him. I mean, he really changed his appearance after the girls were killed. Really changed his appearance. Must be on my Twitter. Okay. Here it is. So, whoops. I had this saved somewhere else, but I'm just going to read it off of Twitter. Okay. So Becky Patty had a lot to say, you guys, after, if you remember right, we talked about the petition that she started, that she wanted everyone to sign. We talked about that on Saturday. Well, after that, she came out with this, and I want to read this to you. I have had several people ask me why I support this petition. So I have taken some time to discuss it with people that have varying views on the petition. I understand what you are saying and why, and I respect everyone's opinion. But in the end, a fair trial is my first priority. I do not believe our prosecutor would ask for this to happen without a good and justifiable reason. She's talking about the sealing of the probable cause affidavit. This case is already complex and hard enough. Why would he add to the challenges he is already facing? He is doing something rarely ever done and shining the spotlight even brighter on him and the investigation. I'm sure he looked at all the alternatives and felt this was necessary for the integrity of the trial. I commend him for doing that and doing what he felt needed to be done despite the backlash he knew he would receive. First, some have said this petition would be no help, which I have to disagree with. According to the Rule 6, which was cited, there is to be an open hearing in which the public may attend and speak, which in my thinking means the judge wants to hear what the people think and have to say. I am the public, and every signature on that petition is the public. So I'm hopeful it will make a difference. Some say keeping it sealed goes against their constitutional rights, freedom of access, and against the law. Again, I disagree. When our forefathers wrote the Constitution and made our laws, fortunately, they had the foresight to include exceptions. They knew there would come a time when it might be necessary for certain case documents to remain sealed for a time, hence the Rule 6. Our prosecutor cited. He is not breaking the law. He is utilizing all necessary tools for a fair trial. These will be unsealed when the time is right, which will be during the trial. It just won't be unsealed on your time. All parties involved in the trial will have the entire probable cause affidavit. This includes the judge, the prosecutor, and the defense attorney. Who else truly needs those documents? It was said transparency is a checks and balance, ensuring the defendant's rights are being upheld. I am sure every law enforcement officer that has been in contact with the defendant has gone out of their way to make sure everything is being done strictly by the book. I do not believe they would take a chance of jeopardizing the case by not doing so. I am sure that the defendant's lawyer would not hesitate to immediately share with the public if he felt his client's rights were not being met. His lawyer is there to defend him not only in court, but to ensure his rights are being upheld. Who knows? His lawyer may even agree with the prosecutor on this. Someone stated that by keeping the record sealed, it defends the defendant. They are right. It defends him in being able to receive a fair trial by being able to select an unprejudiced jury. Can you imagine how hard it will be to select an impartial juror if they were to read or hear what is in this document? You know, once media and social media get a hold of it, the information is going to be broadcast all around the world. Where is the value if that happens for the case or for the defendant? It defends the prosecution again by being able to provide a fair trial and aid in the selection of an unprejudiced jury. It defends all those witnesses contained within that report from having their lives scrutinized under a microscope and their personal lives splashed all over the internet. Please don't say we can just redact names and addresses. Don't ever underestimate the determination of some of these internet sleuths and reporters. They are relentless and capable of coming up with information you would never expect them to be able to uncover. Those lines you say to draw through the names won't stop them from finding out who those people are. We have seen throughout the last 5.5 years the many innocent people that have had their lives turned upside down, pictures splattered all over, and accusations thrown out with no evidence whatsoever to back them. Those same people who, after this case is over, will move on to the next case to spread havoc on the next bunch of innocents, while they move on with no consideration to the damage that they have done. Those innocent people are left picking up the pieces and trying to move on with their lives. Those witnesses also have rights, and they need to be defended also. We have just had our judge recuse himself from this case, stating he felt unsafe for himself and his family, yet you want to unseal those documents and throw those witnesses to the wolves. I understand people want to know, and they will know in time. We need to let those people that have all the evidence and realize the consequences of releasing the documents do whatever it takes to ensure a fair trial for all parties, to allow us to have our day in court, to let the justice system work. In the end, isn't that what we all want? This is why I support keeping the probable cause affidavit sealed at this time. And Kelsey posted that for Becky on Twitter. And I'm sorry, but I completely and absolutely agree with her. Because everything that she said about internet sleuths are true. And there are so many people who claim to care about Abby and Libby, but I actually think it's 15 minutes of fame for them. And building a career or building a podcast, hoping to write a book, possibly do a movie of the week. These are people's lives, for God's sakes. And the POIs in this case, somebody on Reddit posted, and I don't know if it's in Delphi's docs or not. I think it probably is. because I think Xanarita would make sure that it was. But there's a list out there of all of the POIs that have been mentioned in this case. It's huge. Absolutely huge. And all of those people are not guilty, are not Bridge Guy. Bridge Guy's in jail. And it needs to stop. That's not what covering true crime is about. And, it's like Mike and Becky said at the press conference when they were interviewed afterwards. They have just started the next chapter of this, the next phase. They've been in search mode for 5.5 years, searching for this guy, putting his picture out wherever they could, trying to find him. And now they are on the justice side of it. Now is when he's been arrested. He is innocent until he is proven guilty. And now they have to wait for the day in court when the prosecution, the defense, I've heard this out there too. People have this all wrong. And I don't know if they're foreign people who aren't familiar with the United States and how our justice system works, or if they're just people that are completely out of their minds and never passed their civics class in school or their government class, because the defense has to prove nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nada. The burden of proof rests upon the state. The state has to prove their case against him beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. It takes one juror out of 12 to convince that there's reasonable doubt and you have a hung jury. And the case is thrown out. And then it's up to the prosecution to retry him. You only get one shot. Daisy, thank you so much for your support. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm being very patient. I am going to try and be very patient. And we're going to continue to talk about Abby and Libby and to continue to wait to hear more information from law enforcement, because law enforcement is where it's at. That's where we're going to get the information that we all are looking so desperately for. We're not going to get that information from anyone else, you guys. It's not going to come from podcasters. It's not going to come from Redditors or Facebook people or social media. It is going to come from law enforcement and from the prosecutor's office. That's who we're going to hear from. And we're probably not going to hear anything until it's actually in court. And then depending on what they do with the whole court, we may not hear much anyway. We just have to wait and see how much of it they're going to allow the press and stuff to be a part of. And if they're going to allow the average public to have spots. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be people waiting in line to go to this trial. People want to know. They want to be there. John, thank you so much for your continued support and all that you do for me modding. I so appreciate you. Molly, so very well said. Extremely curious is fine. Wanting to know all the details is fine. We all do. All of us who have frantically followed this case and prayed and wanted justice for Abby and for Libby all of this time. We absolutely want this to happen. And we want to see the justice. I don't want to see something thrown out on a technicality. I don't want to see a misstep this late in the game. And I definitely don't want to see the killer get off on a technicality and never be able to be tried again. I definitely don't want to see that happen. So, and you know, it's not, you know, they say patience is a virtue, and trust me, it is. I'm one of the most impatient people. And you know, you can ask my family, my friends, and everybody knows you know, when it comes to Christmas, I can't stand to wait till Christmas to give out my Christmas presents to everyone. I want to give them early. I mean, I'm just that way. I just hate having to wait. So, it's, I don't know, it's hard, and I get that it is. But yeah, guys, I've been here for 2 hours. I'm going to go and look and see. I think I only found 2 questions. Somebody said, why do you think he hasn't asked for an attorney? I don't know that he hasn't asked for an attorney. He doesn't have one at this point. That's all we know. I don't know, Chris. All I can tell you is that his time is clicking away, because if he doesn't have one by the 13th, the court will appoint him one, and he'll end up with a court-appointed attorney, which in a double homicide, that is not what I would think he would want. So maybe they're scrambling. Maybe they need to get money from a 401k, or maybe I mean, I don't know how they work that. Maybe they have to put down a down payment on a defense. I don't know how all of that works, but I'm sure he's working, trying to get help from the outside, from someone to help him get an attorney to defend him. Does anyone else think it's strange that Steve and Mrs. Steve went to Delphi, and after they left, they arrested a suspect? I don't think it's strange. I think it's cool. I almost wish that he had been there the week that they did all this. I really do, because Steve would, Jim, I am too. I can't wait to figure out how this all plays out. I just cannot wait to find out. But yeah, you guys, a lot to think about, a lot to mull over. You guys keep thinking of questions. We'll keep talking about them and seeing what happens. And hopefully in the next week and a half, we will see the documents that we've been wanting to see, because I do believe they are going to be unsealed. I don't look for the court to keep them sealed. And that's just me, because I think they risk, if they were to do that and they were to allow the probable cause to stay sealed after he is an attorney for very long, they run the risk of, on appeal, having something overturned because of his constitutional rights being messed with. So, but it, I definitely think that they're probably working with him, giving him phone calls or whatever to try to get someone. So I appreciate all of you guys. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, and ring the bell so that you know when I go live next. Liking and subscribing is the absolute best way you can support me and my channel. It helps boost me in YouTube's algorithm, so more people see my my channel and see my videos. I appreciate all of you that were here with me tonight. much love to all of you. It doesn't take much to be kind. Please be kind and respectful always. And please, please pay it forward. And keep Abby and Libby in your thought process as we go through this next process, because it is all about them and them getting justice. And I know that they're looking down upon their families right now. And I know they're smiling because they're like, they finally got him. And I believe that. So anyway, guys, good night. I'm so glad that I had the time to spend with you tonight. I hope everyone has a great couple of days, and I will see you later. Have a good one.